So one of the most interesting things I heard this year on YouTube regarding our fruit forest is that fruit trees produce better fruit when the branches are horizontal versus vertical. So this year we've started to do what's called Espalier, I believe, Espalier. We're wiring up our trees instead of letting them go natural. So we have a ton of fruit trees on our property, lots of apples, lots of pear, lots of plum, and they're doing pretty good. You can see we've got, even on this small one, we've got a bunch of apples here. On the bigger one back here, we do have a bunch more apples. We've got some others in the other food forest there. But we do also have a lot of these smaller guys right here. And what we're doing, like I said this year, is we're going to prune them heavily and wire them. Now there's two reasons for this. So it used to be very popular in cooler climates like we're in to take fruit trees and wire them up against brick walls. So if you have like a large brick wall in your garden, you would do it up against that. If you had like the monasteries and that sort of stuff, well, you'd again take some wire and wire your tree up against the wall, and that way as the wall heated up with the sun, it helped provide that heat to the trees and made the fruit ripe a little faster, made the climate change zones a little bit. So instead of say zone 3 like we're in, it might help make it a zone 4 because of the heat coming off that brick wall. In doing that as well, it helped to produce more fruit in a smaller space. So as you can see here, we've got a few trees and it's getting a little tight in here. These are still only small trees, but because the branches are going every way, just the way they grew in nature, we haven't really done a lot of pruning on them. You can see it's starting to expand into our food forest and take up a lot of room. So then when you wire a tree up, what happens is now you have a lot less space that tree is taking up. It becomes almost flat against the wall versus all the branches going out in every direction. So the two reasons we're doing this is, one, to hopefully get all our branches on our trees going horizontal, and hopefully that will help increase not only the amount of flowers they produce, but then in turn that'll increase the amount of fruit they produce. So versus a tree like this, which is doing pretty good for production right now, we're hoping that once we get all these branches horizontal instead of coming up like a regular tree, it'll produce a lot more fruit for us. So the second reason for us to do this is I actually want to see if this will work to help support our younger trees during the winter. What happens is when we have small trees like this, we get such a heavy snow load that it actually breaks branches. You can see here we lost some branches. This whole thing is kind of wonky because the snow has actually torn branches off. This has had to regrow a few times. So what I'm thinking going forward is, because I've started to wire up these branches, we're going to add a few more wire ties and stuff to hold these branches in place against the wire. And what that should help is prevent the snow from packing up on top of these. And then what happens is it melts in the spring. And as it melts in the spring, it grabs a hold of the branch and pulls it down with it. And that breaks the branches. If I have them wired to the wire here, I'm hoping that wire will help support the branches and not allow the branch to be dragged down with the snow and ice. So far this year, I have 2 apple trees done here, and I have a few stakes over here that I haven't put the wires out on yet. We've got an apple tree there, a pear tree here, and I want to do, there's a pear, plum, apple tree here that I want to do as well. I'm not sure about doing the cherries. I probably just leave them as is. And on our other food forest, we do have a full line that's actually worked out really well. So from now on going forward, we're actually going to plant all our fruit trees in a line. So we're kind of stealing some ideas from kind of the commercial industry as well as the permaculture industry, because as you can see through here, we've got some nitrogen fixers, some flowers, we got rhubarb, we got a lot of other stuff too that you won't find in a commercial orchard. So you can see with this line, this is a complete wire going all the way over to the bat post there. And we've got an apple, plum, pear, apple, crab apple. And what happens with this is now it's a lot easier to cut the grass. It'll be a lot easier to harvest. And I'm hoping that'll support these little trees as well. And still underneath them, we still have some rhubarb, some nitrogen fixers, some thyme, that kind of stuff growing amongst it. But it's not that kind of, you know, cluster, big clump of stuff that I have going on over in this food forest right here. This one here, we kind of just threw together, put some stuff in, and let it go as nature kind of intended. But again, we want to maximize our fruit production as well to be able to provide more food for us. So that's why we're going to try to do the wire technique, the Espalier, and see what happens with that. So guys, I hope you like this video. Stay tuned for more, and we'll keep you posted on how this wiring technique is going. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.